The moment Max B stepped on stage, nobody knew the storm that was about to unfold. What started as a routine Brooklyn concert quickly turned into one of the most explosive loyalty showdowns in hip-hop history. Fans were cheering, cameras were rolling, but the tension in the air was unmistakable because Max B wasn't here just to perform. He had something to say, and it wasn't subtle. He called out Juelz Santana, "Live," in front of thousands of people. And it wasn't just a diss. It was a message about loyalty, respect, and the streets. Juelz Santana, known for being fiercely loyal to Jim Jones, suddenly found himself in the crosshairs of one of the most notorious figures in hip-hop beef culture. The crowd gasped, reactions flooded social media, and fans immediately started questioning, was this a personal attack, a business move, or a street-level warning? Max B's words weren't random. They carried weight, history, and tension that could only be understood by those who followed the saga of these legends for years. Now, the streets are talking. Social media is buzzing. And the question on everyone's mind is simple: who really stands where loyalty is tested? In this video, we break down every shocking moment, every reaction, and the hidden layers of this chaos, including why Juelz Santana didn't respond publicly and how Jim Jones' name keeps fueling the fire. Stay tuned, because once loyalty is questioned on this level, the fallout can change careers, alliances, and even the balance of power in hip-hop. The moment Max B's name echoed through the Brooklyn venue, fans had no idea they were about to witness something far bigger than a regular concert performance. For years, Max B has been known as a player who doesn't just make music, he makes statements. And tonight, that statement came live, in front of thousands of people, with cameras rolling and social media at a fever pitch. As soon as Max stepped on stage, the energy shifted. It wasn't the bass or the lights. It wasn't the crowd chanting his name. It was the tension you could feel in the air, a tension that promised conflict and loyalty lines being tested. The target of his words? Juelz Santana, a name synonymous with loyalty to Jim Jones. Juelz Santana has built a reputation for standing firm with his people, especially Jim Jones, who has long been a major figure in hip-hop and street culture. That loyalty has earned him respect, but it also makes him a magnet for drama, especially when someone like Max B decides to call him out publicly. The moment Max B addressed Juelz by name, the crowd reacted instantly. Shock, excitement, whispers, and a few audible gasps echoed throughout the arena. Cameras captured every angle, fans recorded every word, and social media immediately began buzzing. Clips went viral within minutes, trending across Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, each viewer trying to parse the situation. The tension wasn't just about a name being called. It was about what loyalty really means in hip-hop, where alliances can define careers, street credibility, and public perception. Max B's delivery wasn't just a casual mention. It was a challenge, a test, and a warning wrapped into one live moment. Juelz Santana's reaction, or lack thereof, was just as telling. He didn't interrupt. He didn't respond on stage. His silence was calculated, measured, and deliberate. In street culture, silence can speak louder than words. It shows restraint, confidence, or sometimes the brewing of a more serious response behind the scenes. Fans immediately started speculating, was this respect, strategy, or fear? Meanwhile, the name of Jim Jones loomed large in the narrative. His connection to Juelz Santana has always been strong, but Max B's public call-out forced everyone to re-examine that relationship. Could loyalty to a mentor or longtime collaborator justify a lack of response in a moment of public scrutiny? Or does silence itself raise questions about where allegiance truly lies? Insiders say that backstage, the atmosphere was tense long before Max stepped on stage. Security, managers, and crew members were aware that this could turn into a spectacle. Max B is known for speaking directly to his peers, and the unpredictability of live events added an extra layer of anticipation. Every step, every glance, every pause mattered. Fans watching online were dissecting every detail. Social media timelines were flooded with clips of Max B saying Juelz Santana's name, and reactions ranged from disbelief to excitement. Memes, comments, and debates sprang up instantly. Who would respond? How would Jim Jones react? Would this escalate or settle quietly? But beyond the public eye, there was a deeper story unfolding, one about respect, reputation, and street politics. Max B's call-out wasn't just a moment for entertainment. It was a statement about boundaries, alliances, and the cost of loyalty. Those who know the history between these figures understand that past interactions, collaborations, and tensions all played a role. This wasn't the first hint of friction between Max B and Juelz Santana's circle, but it was the most public and undeniable display. Every fan, every insider, and every rival saw it unfold live, and it left a lasting impression. The silence of Juelz Santana, combined with Max B's bold onstage statements, created a dynamic tension that continues to reverberate. People began connecting dots, past interviews, cryptic social media posts, and previous beefs now appeared to have new meaning. Loyalty, once assumed, was now being questioned publicly, and that alone created a ripple effect across the hip-hop community. By the end of the performance, the crowd had experienced more than just music. They had witnessed a moment that tested relationships, measured alliances, and challenged the concept of loyalty in real time. Social media exploded with theories, predictions, and heated debates. Fans were tagging friends, sharing clips, and asking one question over and over: what happens next? Backstage, reports say, things didn't immediately calm down. Security and management worked to de-escalate tension, while artists and insiders began texting, calling, and strategizing. The real fallout, as many predicted, wasn't going to be resolved with the final note of the concert. This was only the beginning of a ripple effect that would be felt across interviews, social media, and future performances. For viewers, the lesson was clear: loyalty in hip-hop is visible, measured, and tested in unexpected ways. Public callouts like this force everyone to pick a side, and they expose cracks in relationships that might otherwise remain hidden. Max B's onstage confrontation was more than drama. It was a case study in power, respect, and reputation. And as fans continued to dissect the event online, the key question remained: will Juelz Santana respond? Will Jim Jones intervene? Or will the silence speak for itself, leaving history to judge the impact of this explosive night in Brooklyn? By the time the lights dimmed, one thing was certain: Max B had made his point. The lines of loyalty were drawn, chaos had sparked, and the hip-hop world was watching closely. And in situations like this, when the public, social media, and the streets all converge, the consequences are rarely just about music. This was a defining moment. A moment that showed how alliances, respect, and loyalty collide when one man decides to speak out live. And for fans, insiders, and artists alike, the story was far from over. As the echoes of Max B's live call-out faded from the Brooklyn venue, the story didn't end there. It was only beginning. Backstage, energy remained tense, almost electric. Crew members, security, and insiders knew that this wasn't just a performance anymore. It was a public test of loyalty that would ripple through the streets, social media, and industry alike. Word traveled fast. Clips of the moment exploded across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Fans dissected every gesture, every pause, every look. Some praised Max B for being bold, calling it a moment of unapologetic truth. Others questioned the timing, wondering if publicly calling out Juelz Santana was a power move or an unnecessary escalation. But one thing was undeniable: everybody was talking about it. Meanwhile, Juelz Santana stayed silent, and that silence became a statement in itself. Street culture understands the weight of restraint. Silence isn't passive, it can be strategic, a signal that patience, observation, or planning is at play. Those who know the history of loyalty and alliances in hip-hop could read between the lines. Juelz's silence was not weakness, it was a calculated move, showing that loyalty to Jim Jones came before reacting to public theatrics. Jim Jones' influence loomed large in the aftermath. Sources say he was immediately made aware of Max B's onstage comments and the reactions online. While he didn't make a public statement, His presence was felt through subtle messaging, interviews, social media posts, and private conversations. Those close to him understood the unspoken rule: when loyalty is tested, strategy precedes confrontation. On social media, the chaos unfolded in real time. Fans debated, will Juelz respond? Is Max B overstepping? How does Jim Jones fit into this? Memes, reaction videos, and opinion threads started trending, pushing the narrative far beyond Brooklyn. The streets, the internet, and industry insiders all began analyzing alliances, speculating about hidden tensions, and predicting what could happen next. Some insiders claimed that backstage conversations had revealed subtle warnings from Max B's team. They weren't threats, not yet, but they were reminders of reputation, respect, and the consequences of crossing certain lines. In street culture, a word spoken live can shift dynamics faster than any private dispute. And the Brooklyn show had just shifted the balance. Meanwhile, industry figures began weighing in quietly. Managers, label executives, and collaborators understood that public beefs, especially those tied to loyalty and street credibility, could have long-term implications for business and careers. Max B's callout wasn't just a personal jab, it was a calculated move with layers, signaling that he could control the narrative and force attention on those he considered accountable. As speculation grew, fans noticed subtle changes in interactions. Juelz Santana didn't publicly respond, but social media behavior hinted at contemplation. Likes, retweets, and cryptic posts suggested he was watching, evaluating, and preparing. Jim Jones' influence seemed to guide this response. Every move had a purpose. Nothing accidental, everything deliberate. On the street level, reactions were swift. Word of mouth from Brooklyn and beyond suggested mixed opinions. Some respected Max B for taking a stand and calling out what he perceived as disloyalty. Others felt he had crossed a line, challenging an ally of Jim Jones and potentially creating unnecessary tension. Loyalty, respect, and history mattered more than musical clout. And that lesson was becoming clear. The media jumped in as well. Hip-hop blogs, YouTube channels, and entertainment news outlets started analyzing the performance frame by frame. Clips of Max B calling out Juelz Santana went viral, while screenshots of fan reactions flooded platforms. Hashtags like #MaxB, #Juelz Santana, #Jim Jones, #HipHop Beef started trending, showing how public interest had exploded overnight. Interestingly, while the public frenzy peaked, some of the most significant reactions were happening behind the scenes. Sources say that advisors and inner circles were contacting one another to assess potential fallout. Concert promoters, venue managers, and security teams all started reevaluating plans, understanding that even a single live callout could spark wider consequences in the streets. Fans noticed patterns too. Social media posts from both camps revealed subtle signs of strategy. Max B's posts carried confidence, history, and implied warnings. Juelz Santana's silence suggested patience, caution, and loyalty to Jim Jones. Jim Jones' minimal but calculated online presence confirmed he was aware of every ripple. Together, these moves demonstrated a chess game rather than random chaos. By midweek, the conversation had shifted from what happened on stage to what it meant for alliances. Analysts and fans debated, could this impact future collaborations? How would it affect loyalty within the Harlem/Brooklyn circles? And most importantly, who would make the next move? The streets understand that in moments like this, timing matters more than words. React too quickly, and it can escalate unnecessarily. Wait too long, and you risk appearing weak. Max B's public display had forced everyone to consider their positions, alliances, and credibility. This was no longer just a concert moment, it was a strategic crossroads. Meanwhile, in the music industry, producers, DJs, and artists watched closely. A live call-out of this magnitude can influence collaborations, bookings, and social media dynamics. Every post, every comment, every reaction could be interpreted as support, opposition, or a neutral stance, and each carries weight for careers and street credibility alike. By the end of the week, the fallout had spread beyond Brooklyn. Fans across the U.S. were weighing in. Discussions ranged from loyalty in hip-hop, the influence of Jim Jones and Max B's boldness, to Juelz Santana's silence and calculated restraint. For many, it was a lesson in how power, respect, and strategy collide when history, friendship, and street politics intersect. At this stage, no public diss track had been released, no interviews had been scheduled, and yet the story continued to dominate conversations. Social media had amplified a single live moment into a multi-layered narrative spanning loyalty, strategy, history, and reputation. Max B's callout had triggered a chain reaction, creating a new chapter in Brooklyn hip-hop history. In essence, the live moment achieved more than a typical performance could. It revealed fractures, tested alliances, and sparked discussions about loyalty, respect, and consequences. Everyone involved, Max B, Juelz Santana, and Jim Jones, had their reputations, decisions, and strategy evaluated in real time. And for fans, it became a case study in street politics and industry influence. The fallout is far from over. Max B has made his position known. Juelz Santana's silence speaks volumes. Jim Jones' oversight looms large. And the streets, fans, and industry insiders are watching every move. The next chapter promises more clarity, reactions, and potentially a defining moment that could shift alliances permanently. By the time the buzz from Max B's live callout settled online, one thing was undeniable. This wasn't just a Brooklyn moment. It has become a national conversation about loyalty, respect, and influence in hip-hop. Every fan, artist, and insider now had a stake in the story, whether they realized it or not. The fallout began quietly. Juelz Santana, known for his loyalty to Jim Jones, stayed silent in public, a move that spoke louder than any diss. Behind the scenes, however, conversations were happening at a rapid pace. Close associates reported that Juelz was weighing options carefully, consulting with Jim Jones and other key figures before making any public statements. His reputation for loyalty was now on full display, but the pressure to respond was intense. Every day of silence increased the curiosity and speculation online. Jim Jones' influence loomed over the entire situation. Though he hadn't appeared publicly, insiders noted that his presence was felt everywhere. From backstage discussions to social media posts, Jim Jones was guiding the narrative with subtlety and strategy. He understood that in moments like this, the wrong move could have serious consequences. In street culture, every word, gesture, and pause is evaluated for intention, and Jim Jones knew how to control perception without escalating chaos. Meanwhile, Max B had made his intentions clear. His live callout wasn't just a performance stunt, it was a statement about accountability, loyalty, and influence. His camp confirmed that every move he made was deliberate, designed to test boundaries and reveal true alliances. Max B's reputation for strategic boldness ensured that everyone watching understood the stakes. He wasn't trying to start a war, but he wanted to see who would stand firm and who would falter under pressure. The online reaction was immediate and intense. Clips of the live callout spread across Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. Fans debated endlessly. Did Max B overstep? Should Juelz Santana have responded? How would Jim Jones handle this behind the scenes? Memes, reaction videos, and analysis posts surged, keeping the story trending for days. Every social media post, comment, and like contributed to the growing narrative of loyalty and street politics. Backstage reports indicated that security and management teams were on high alert. The tension from the stage performance didn't end when the lights went down, it followed every move, from studio sessions to appearances. Industry insiders emphasized that live callouts like this one don't just affect reputations, they shift power dynamics, influencing collaborations, partnerships, and alliances. As the days progressed, subtle actions began to unfold. Juelz Santana maintained his silence publicly, reinforcing his loyalty to Jim Jones while carefully managing his image. Max B continued engaging his fan base and collaborators, projecting confidence and strategic patience. Jim Jones remained the quiet yet influential figure in the background, letting the tension simmer while controlling outcomes. Fans and analysts began connecting dots. Every cryptic social media post, every indirect interview snippet, and every backstage interaction became part of a larger puzzle. It was no longer about a single stage moment. It was about how loyalty, respect, and strategy intersect in hip-hop culture. Every movement was scrutinized, every decision analyzed, and every reaction interpreted as a sign of where alliances truly stood. Ultimately, the live callout served as a test. It revealed strengths, weaknesses, and hidden dynamics. Max B showed he could command attention and hold the streets accountable. Juelz Santana demonstrated unwavering loyalty, even under pressure. Jim Jones proved that influence doesn't always need to be loud. Sometimes, guiding from the shadows is the most powerful move of all. By the end of the week, the story had stabilized in the public eye, but the lessons remained. Loyalty in hip-hop isn't just about friendship or collaboration. It's about history, reputation, and the ability to navigate pressure without losing composure. Max B's live callout may have sparked chaos, but it also clarified who stood where when tested. Social media eventually shifted to other stories, but the impact of the moment endured. Fans continued to reference the callout as a defining lesson in loyalty and street credibility. Industry insiders and artists alike observed the event, understanding that actions, silence, and strategy matter as much as music itself. As the dust settled, everyone involved emerged with lessons learned. Max B retained his bold image, Juelz Santana reinforced his loyalty, and Jim Jones maintained control from behind the scenes. What began as a dramatic live callout evolved into a multi-layered story about respect, strategy, and the realities of hip-hop alliances. In the end, no one truly won or lost. What mattered most was how each player navigated the fallout, who stayed true to their values, and who managed to survive scrutiny, pressure, and public attention. The streets, fans, and industry learned a timeless truth. In hip-hop, loyalty is tested in unexpected ways, and those who remain strategic and composed are the ones who endure. This chapter may have closed, but the story of loyalty, respect, and influence in hip-hop continues. And for those watching closely, one thing is clear. In this world, every action counts, every word matters, and the ripple effects of a single live moment can last far longer than anyone expects. Before you go, I need you to think about this. What would you do if loyalty was tested in front of thousands of people? Because that's exactly what happened with Max B and Juelz Santana. This wasn't just a stage moment. It was a live test of trust, respect, and street credibility. And now, the entire hip-hop world is watching, analyzing every move, and debating who made the right choices. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Tell me, did Max B cross a line, or did he just call out what needed to be said? Was Juelz Santana right to stay silent and let loyalty guide his response? And where do you think Jim Jones fits in all of this? Mastermind behind the scenes, or just observing the fallout? If you're here for unfiltered hip-hop drama, behind-the-scenes breakdowns, and street-level insights, smash that like button. It helps this video reach more people who want the truth behind the headlines, not just the gossip. And if you're new here, subscribe and turn on notifications. We bring you the stories the mainstream won't cover, from loyalty wars to live callouts, and everything in between. Remember, in hip-hop, loyalty is tested in real time, and every decision counts. Stay locked in, share your opinion, and watch closely, because the fallout isn't over, and the streets are always paying attention. Comment, like, subscribe, and let's break down every move together.